Is what you're feeling really love, or just a craving disguised as something deeper? There's a difference, and it's crucial to recognize it before you get lost in the illusion. Lust doesn't look like lust at first. It feels exciting, intense, and all-consuming. It's easy to mistake that burning desire for true love, but when you scratch beneath the surface, you'll find that lust is empty, fleeting, and self-centered. Ever wonder why that initial spark fades so quickly? Why the excitement starts to feel hollow? That's because lust is a false version of intimacy. It may feel like love, but it's built on momentary attraction rather than real connection. When it fades, so does the desire, leaving behind confusion and dissatisfaction. Love, on the other hand, isn't about quick thrills or chasing after what feels good in the moment. It's about choosing to commit, choosing to give, and choosing to build something lasting. But here's the thing. We've been conditioned to believe that passion and intensity are the same as genuine connection. Society tells us that if it feels right, it must be right. But that's not true. The truth is, love and lust are miles apart. And understanding why lust feels like love, but isn't, can completely shift how you approach relationships. By the end of this, you'll have a clear distinction between the two. And most importantly, you'll know how to build the kind of love that's real, lasting, and fulfilling. Stick around, because the answers you need might not be what you expect. Lust can destroy your life if you don't understand its true nature. Unlock the 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust before it destroys you. Click the link in the description to get started today. Lust and love seem similar at first glance, but they couldn't be more different. The confusion between the two is one of the most dangerous traps we can fall into. After all, if something feels intense, passionate, and powerful, surely it must be love. But here's the catch. Lust wears a mask that makes it look like love, but it's really a self-serving, shallow desire, while love is built on something far deeper, far more enduring. The more we mistake one for the other, the more we risk throwing away something real in exchange for something hollow. Lust doesn't require much from you. In fact, it thrives when you're focused only on what you want, your desires, your needs, your satisfaction. It's all about immediate gratification. Lust feeds on the moment, demanding that you chase after that fleeting spark, that rush of dopamine, that hit of excitement. It burns bright, but it's over just as quickly as it ignited. Lust doesn't ask for your heart or your commitment, and it certainly doesn't care about your well-being. It simply wants to consume, and when it's done, it leaves you emptier than before. Love, on the other hand, is the exact opposite. True love is patient, enduring, and sacrificial. It isn't about how you feel in the heat of the moment. It's about how you feel long after that initial spark fades. Love is built on trust, respect, and mutual care. It asks for more than a fleeting moment. It requires time, effort, and a willingness to invest in someone else's happiness, not just your own. In love, you're not simply looking to satisfy yourself. You're looking to serve and care for someone else, putting their needs on par with your own. It's not just an emotional high, it's a deep, ongoing commitment. Lust, however, is shallow. It doesn't care about your emotional or spiritual well-being. It isn't about forming a bond that lasts. It's the pursuit of pleasure without any foundation. Lust sees people as objects to fulfill a need, not as individuals worthy of respect and love. When we mistake lust for love, we start to value people only for how they make us feel in the moment, rather than seeing them as complete beings who deserve our care and commitment. And that's where the danger lies. Love doesn't chase after the next thrill. It builds something lasting. It's not afraid of the hard work or the wait. Love endures when things get tough, when the excitement fades, and when the initial infatuation wears off. It's steady, it's true, and it's constant. Love doesn't depend on how you feel in the heat of passion. It depends on how you choose to show up for someone day after day, even when it's not easy. Lust can't do that. Lust is about self-satisfaction. Love is about self-sacrifice. When you start to differentiate between love and lust, you begin to see the power in true, lasting relationships. Lust may seem like the easy way out, but it's empty, like chasing a high that can never satisfy. Love, on the other hand, is rich, deep, and fulfilling, in ways that lust could never be. It requires patience, commitment, and a willingness to grow together. If you can embrace what true love is, then you can break free from the chains of lust and start building something that will last. Lust often masquerades as love, and that's one of its most dangerous tricks. But what does the Bible actually say about the two? The stark contrast between them isn't just about actions or feelings. It's about the heart behind them. The Bible doesn't just give us rules for relationships. It reveals the true nature of love and how it differs drastically from the fleeting thrill of lust. Love in the Bible is selfless, patient, and enduring. It's a commitment, a choice to prioritize someone else's well-being over your own desires. In 1 Corinthians 13, often called the love chapter, love is described as patient, kind, and never self-seeking. It doesn't look to satisfy immediate needs or feed selfish cravings. Love builds something lasting, something that transcends mere emotion. It's grounded in sacrifice, in understanding, and in trust. On the other hand, lust is driven by self-interest. It's about what feels good in the moment, seeking instant gratification, without regard for the other person's heart or soul. Lust doesn't care about long-term commitment or the well-being of the other. It's about fulfilling personal desires, often at the expense of others. Lust seeks pleasure but doesn't ask the crucial question: what does this relationship mean beyond this moment? The Bible's teachings make it clear that lust is not only harmful, but it also corrupts the way we see others. Jesus says in Matthew 5:28, "But I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart." Lust in this sense doesn't just affect our actions. It's a deep issue of the heart. It turns people into objects, things to be used for personal satisfaction, instead of seeing them as people with their own dignity and value. Lust takes something sacred, human connection, and reduces it to a transaction. But love is different. Biblical love is rooted in purity and respect. It doesn't look to take, but to give. When we love, we choose to honor the other person, body, mind, and spirit. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Philippians, urges believers to do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. This is the essence of love in action: humility, honor, and sacrifice for the other. In contrast, lust breeds shame, secrecy, and guilt. It's a pattern of using others for personal pleasure, then discarding them when they no longer serve your desires. This cycle leaves behind emptiness. But love, rooted in God's design, creates fulfillment that endures beyond mere feelings. This is why the Bible calls us to flee from lust. In 1 Timothy 6:11, Paul encourages Timothy to pursue righteousness, godliness, faith, love, endurance, and gentleness, showing us that true love as defined in Scripture isn't passive. It's something we actively pursue, something we choose over and over again. Lust, by contrast, is passive. It takes over when we're not careful, when we allow our desires to rule our decisions. Ultimately, the Bible teaches us that love is the only foundation for a relationship that will last. Lust, in all its deceptive beauty, may promise excitement, but it can never fulfill the deeper longing for true connection and meaning in a relationship. Only love, as the Bible describes it, can give that. True love elevates, honors, and cherishes. Lust destroys. Understanding the difference is the first step in breaking free from the illusion of love and stepping into the true, transformative power of godly love. Lust often deceives us into thinking it creates closeness, but in reality it only deepens our isolation. It promises intimacy, yet leaves us emptier than before. That rush of attraction, the heat of desire. It feels powerful, doesn't it? It feels like you've made a deep connection with someone, but take a step back, and you'll see it's only an illusion. When we're caught up in lust, we confuse physical attraction with emotional intimacy. We mistake the desire for someone's body with the desire to know them as a person. It feels intense and all-consuming. And in those moments you might feel like you're experiencing something deep, something meaningful. But once the excitement fades, the connection fades with it. That's because lust doesn't foster a genuine bond. It thrives on surface-level pleasure. Think about how many times we felt drawn to someone based purely on attraction. The moment feels alive, electric, almost like you're connecting on a level that seems to go beyond mere physicality. But soon enough, the very thing that brought you together, lust, starts to unravel what you thought was a connection. The spark dies. There's no depth, no trust, no real understanding of who the other person is. It was all based on a fleeting moment, a chemical reaction, not the true building blocks of intimacy. True intimacy is about more than just physical connection. It's about sharing your thoughts, your heart, your vulnerability. It's about being known and knowing another person on a soul-deep level. But when lust is in control, it's all about what can be taken. Lust doesn't want to give. It wants to consume. It seeks out physical satisfaction without caring about the other person's well-being. It's not about growing together. It's about self-gratification. And because of that, it's never going to build anything substantial. When you're caught in the grip of lust, you might believe you're forming a deep connection with someone, but you're really only using them to satisfy your own desires. And that's not intimacy. Intimacy requires time, trust, vulnerability, and lust can't create those things because it's too focused on instant pleasure. It doesn't allow for patience or growth. And as a result, the connection you feel is fleeting, hollow, and ultimately unsatisfying. Think about it: when lust fades, so does the supposed bond. There's nothing left to hold the relationship together because the foundation was weak from the start. That's why so many people feel empty after relationships that began with intense physical attraction. It's a cycle. The more you give in to lust's illusion of intimacy, the more you're left longing for something deeper, something real. Intimacy is built on a foundation of mutual respect, understanding, and emotional connection. But lust doesn't allow for that. It's too focused on what's immediate and temporary. It doesn't have the patience to grow into something lasting. If you're looking for real intimacy, you need to move past the superficial and engage on a deeper level, one that involves the whole person, not just their body. Only then will you discover a connection that lasts. Only then will you understand what true intimacy is. Struggling with lust? Discover the 7 biblical secrets to destroy lust and reclaim your life. Unlock powerful faith-driven strategies to overcome temptation. Get your copy now through the link in the description or pinned comment. True love demands a level of control that many overlook. The world may tell you that love is about following your heart, chasing after your emotions, and letting them lead you wherever they may go. But real love requires something much deeper: self-control. Without it, love is at risk of being consumed by fleeting desires, shallow feelings, and reckless impulses. It's the kind of control that doesn't suppress passion, but channels it in a way that honors the other person and yourself. We live in a time where instant gratification is the norm, and the idea of waiting, of pacing ourselves, feels almost foreign. Yet it's this very pace that is essential for lasting love. It's easy to mistake the rush of desire for love itself. The early stages of attraction can feel intoxicating, almost like an adrenaline rush. But if we don't exercise restraint, if we let ourselves be swept away by those powerful urges, we risk falling into lust, not love. True love is built over time, piece by piece, decision by decision. It's about choosing commitment over convenience, understanding over passion, and growth over immediate satisfaction. Self-control doesn't mean you don't feel intensely, but it means that you know when to pause and consider the other person's feelings, the long-term consequences, and the integrity of your relationship. It's not about suppressing love or passion, but about guiding them in a direction that strengthens your bond rather than tearing it apart. This is where self-control shows its real power, in the way it allows you to build a deeper connection. It's easy to get lost in the chase and the excitement of the early stages of a relationship. But love that endures isn't built on excitement alone. It's about trust, respect, and commitment, things that take time to develop. When we choose to act with restraint, we create the space for these qualities to grow. And in this space, true intimacy is born, not just the kind that's physical, but the kind that goes deeper, the kind that nourishes and sustains. There's also an aspect of self-respect that comes with self-control. By choosing not to indulge every impulse, you communicate to yourself and your partner that your relationship is valuable. Lust thrives on instant gratification, but love thrives on intentionality. When you decide to wait, to pace your actions, you're saying that this relationship, this connection, deserves to be treated with care. You're showing that you're not willing to give in to cheap thrills that could undermine the very thing you're trying to build. This act of restraint shows that you value the other person as more than just an object of desire. You see them as a partner, someone with whom you can create something meaningful and lasting. True love grows from the foundation of self-control. It's a daily choice, a commitment to think beyond the moment, to choose what is best for the relationship, even when it's difficult or inconvenient. The temptation to give in to lust, to allow momentary desire to dictate our actions, will always be there. But in those moments you have the power to choose differently. By exercising self-control, you build a love that lasts, a love that doesn't fade when the excitement does. In the end, self-control is not just about restraint. It's about freedom, the freedom to love deeply and truly, without the chains of momentary desires leading you astray. It's the key that unlocks a love that doesn't falter, that doesn't fade with time, but only grows stronger, more meaningful, and more beautiful with each passing day. Lust might feel exciting at first, but its consequences in relationships are far more destructive than most realize. What starts as a thrilling spark can quickly spiral into something that rots the core of any connection. Lust builds on surface-level attraction, convincing you that it's about the other person, when in reality, it's all about your own desires. It might seem harmless at first, but over time it erodes the trust, respect, and commitment that are the foundation of a healthy relationship. Think about this for a moment. Lust is transactional. It's about getting what you want. Love, however, is about giving, investing, and building something lasting. Lust tricks you into thinking that fleeting moments of passion can replace the deep emotional connection love requires, but eventually it leaves behind a hollow shell where both partners feel unfulfilled and distant. The first casualty of lust is trust. When the focus shifts from mutual respect to physical satisfaction, something vital breaks. Lust fuels dishonesty, secrecy, and betrayal, whether it's through hidden desires, secret infatuations, or even cheating. Trust, the cornerstone of any meaningful relationship, starts to crumble. Once it's gone, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. Every unfaithful thought or action plants a seed of doubt, and over time these seeds grow into something much more destructive than a momentary lapse in judgment. They grow into a relationship that's barely holding on, held together by nothing more than memories of better days. And then there's the deep emotional distance that begins to emerge. Lust keeps relationships at arm's length. It creates an illusion of closeness while actually pushing both partners further apart. Why? Because lust never satisfies. The more you chase it, the more you need, and the less you actually receive. It becomes a constant craving, an addiction that pulls you away from the deeper intimacy love requires. As the emotional gap widens, the bond that once existed between partners begins to fade, leaving both parties isolated and unfulfilled. Lust also feeds on objectification. When you're driven by lust, it's not about loving the person, it's about using them to fulfill your own desire. This transforms a partner into a mere object, something to be used rather than cherished. And in any relationship, when one person is reduced to an object, the humanity of both individuals is lost. True intimacy, which grows from mutual respect and understanding, is replaced by a shallow interaction that leaves both partners empty. Over time, the consequences of this can spill over into every aspect of life. Your sense of self-worth may begin to erode as well. When lust becomes the driving force in a relationship, it warps your understanding of what real connection looks like. You may find yourself trapped in cycles of dissatisfaction, constantly chasing the high that lust provides, but never feeling fulfilled. Relationships become increasingly transactional, a series of moments where you're simply going through the motions, rather than genuinely connecting with another person. Lust doesn't just damage relationships, it can destroy them. The more you feed it, the more it grows, until it consumes everything you've built. What was once a loving partnership can turn into a battle of wills, a struggle to regain what was lost. But the sad truth is, once trust and respect are shattered, it's nearly impossible to put the pieces back together. Lust may have felt like love at the start, but its consequences will leave you wondering how things ever went so wrong. It's not worth the cost. It's easy to feel trapped in cycles of unhealthy desires. Lust seems so powerful, so irresistible. It can feel like it's in control. But there's something deeper, something stronger that can change everything. God's love isn't just a concept, it's a transformative force that has the power to reshape the very core of who we are. When we allow God's love into our lives, it does more than just fix our struggles with lust. It begins a process of deep inner transformation. Lust thrives on selfishness, on seeking instant gratification, and on the belief that we are incomplete without something external. But when we encounter God's love, we realize that we are already whole. We no longer need to chase fleeting pleasures or try to fill an emptiness that only His love can satisfy. This transformation starts with understanding our worth. Lust tells us that we need something or someone to feel validated. It convinces us that our value is tied to how much we can take or consume. But God's love offers a completely different narrative. It speaks to the truth that we are loved, chosen, and cherished by our Creator, not because of what we can give or take, but because of who we are. This truth isn't just something we read about, it's something we begin to experience and live out when we let it settle into our hearts. God's love teaches us to shift our focus from instant gratification to long-term fulfillment. It redefines what we desire. Lust pulls us toward the temporary, while God's love draws us toward the eternal. Instead of seeking satisfaction in something that fades, we learn to seek joy in things that build us up, things that nurture our spirit, and align with our true purpose. And this shift doesn't happen overnight. Transformation through God's love is a journey, but it's a journey of becoming more of who we were always meant to be. It's not about perfection or instant results. It's about progress, growth, and the quiet, steady unfolding of God's grace. Every time we resist the temptation of lust and turn toward God, we take one more step toward the person He designed us to be. What happens next is nothing short of miraculous. As we begin to let God's love change us, we notice a shift in how we view others. Lust objectifies, it reduces people to their physical appearance, their ability to satisfy. But God's love opens our eyes to see people as they truly are, worthy of respect, dignity, and care. We begin to see beyond the surface and start valuing what truly matters in relationships: emotional connection, trust, and mutual respect. God's love doesn't just heal our relationship with ourselves, it also heals our relationships with others. Lust isolates us. It creates walls between us and those around us, but love builds bridges. It invites us into authentic, meaningful relationships, where we can experience true intimacy, free from the fear of being used or rejected. It's in God's love that we find our ultimate freedom. Lust may feel like a momentary escape, but it ultimately enslaves us, dragging us deeper into self-doubt, guilt, and regret. But the love of God sets us free. It breaks the chains of addiction, the chains of insecurity, and the chains of shame. In His love, we discover our true identity and experience the peace and fulfillment that only He can offer. This transformation is available to everyone. It doesn't matter where you've been or what you've done. God's love is powerful enough to change you completely. So if you're tired of feeling controlled by lust, if you're ready for a love that doesn't fade, then open your heart and allow His love to transform you. The journey is worth it, and the freedom you'll find is priceless. Purity isn't just a distant ideal. It's a call to live different, a challenge, a constant reminder that what we choose to fill our hearts and minds with shapes the very core of who we are. It's easy to dismiss purity as outdated or restrictive, especially in a world where the line between right and wrong is often blurred. But purity isn't about restriction. It's about freedom, the freedom to live with integrity and purpose. Every day we face temptations that try to draw us into things that promise momentary satisfaction, but in the end they only leave us empty. Lust in its many forms is one of the most deceptive forces in our world. It lures us in, makes us feel alive for a fleeting moment, but quickly fades, leaving behind nothing but a sense of shame and brokenness. The damage isn't always visible, but it's there, slowly chipping away at our ability to experience true love, joy, and peace. Purity, on the other hand, doesn't just protect us from harm. It enables us to experience life the way it was meant to be. It's a shield, a defense against the things that try to steal our peace and our purpose. When we choose purity, we're not simply avoiding something bad, we're making room for something better, something more fulfilling, something that in the Bible, purity isn't just a rule. It's a way of life, a life that's free from the chains of lust, from the constant pull of fleeting desires. It's a life where you're not constantly fighting against your own impulses, but rather living in alignment with something great. It's about saying no to what may seem tempting in the moment, and yes to a life of deeper meaning and greater reward. Living a pure life isn't easy. It requires effort, self-control, and an unwavering commitment to what's true. But here's the thing, purity isn't just about avoiding, it's about creating space for holiness to fill your life. Holiness isn't some lofty, unattainable goal. It's simply living in harmony with what is good, right, and true. It's allowing God to purify your heart and mind, so that you can live in a way that reflects His character. Imagine a life where your thoughts and actions align with what is pure, where your relationships are built on trust, respect, and selflessness. That's the power of purity. It's not a burden, it's a gift that opens the door to true intimacy, to lasting joy, and to a peace that can't be shaken by the storms of life. Purity and holiness go hand in hand. One doesn't exist without the other. Holiness is the result of living a pure life. It's the fruit that comes when we commit to living in a way that honors God and reflects His goodness. It's about choosing to reject the things that taint our hearts and minds, and instead, filling them with what is pure and life-giving. Purity isn't just a choice we make once. It's a decision we make every day. It's a continual process of rejecting the things that seek to pollute our hearts, and embracing the things that elevate our lives. When we choose purity, we choose freedom. Freedom from the chains of life, freedom from shame, freedom to live fully in the way we were created to. And that's a life worth living. The battle against lust is one that we all face, but it doesn't have to define us. True love, lasting peace, and genuine intimacy are possible, but it begins with a choice, choosing purity, choosing holiness, and choosing to live according to a higher standard. When you decide to walk in purity, you unlock a life of freedom, clarity, and deeper connections that go far beyond temporary desires. It's time to stop settling for the counterfeit and start living in the fullness of what you were meant to experience. If you're ready to take that next step and break free from the cycle of lust, I've put together something that can help. My ebook, 7 Biblical Secrets to Destroy Lust Before It Destroys You, offers powerful practical steps to overcome this battle once and for all. Check it out in the description below and start your journey toward true freedom today.